Friday Night Lights means it's time for the final score. Your home for hard hits, big plays, and the Basin's #1 football show. The Final Score, brought to you by these sponsors.
Hello and good evening, Ben Peck, Aaron Reynolds, and 'tis the season, Aaron, not for Christmas just now. I know she gets excited, but for high school football, 11 weeks in the season. This is the last one on the calendar.
Yeah, some teams playing today for their final game, others needing a win to get another opportunity, and sometimes there's just so much more to these matchups.
And you know what? I would say, district title is going to be on the line in some of these cases, but I would say one of those games that qualifies our game of the week, would you say?
Yeah.
Permian, Midland Lee, playing for a lot more than just playoff position.
I think it's great for West Texas, the way it should be. Just all the great football players that have been at Lee and been at Permian, and for us to continue that tradition, it's great.
This is Midland Lee's #1 rivalry, and it's not only a West Texas rivalry, a Texas rivalry, but a national rivalry. There's probably a wife or a husband on the different side of the field. And this one, this is how deep this runs.
It's a great, just the rivalry itself between the two programs. And then, on top of that, share the district title.
When I was a kid, I didn't like sharing toys, so I don't want to share the title either. So, right now we have a share of it, but we want to make sure it's all at Midland Lee.
Aaron, they ain't got no interest in sharing that title at Midland Lee. Undefeated on the year, but coming into Ratliff, taking on Permian. Mojo trying to win a share of that district title, and this is what it's all about, folks. Look at that crowd as Permian and Midland Lee get ready to square off. First drive for Lee, Mikey Serrano. He's going to find Christian Romero deep down the field. Coach Hartman always talks about how many great athletes they have over there. Loic Fungi, of course, gets a lot of the headlines, but they've got quite a few weapons. They were covering up Fungi, so a few plays later, why not go back to Romero? This time for the score. Rebels, though, missed the extra point. Keep that in mind. Easton Hernandez, he's been doing a lot for Permian. How about catching a touchdown pass on the reverse right there? So Permian, they make their extra point, makes it 7-6, and now Mojo, Easton Hernandez going to show off that arm. Show off those wheels. Remember, he was questionable going into this game. I don't know. He's looking not so questionable right there. Very next play, going to air it out to Turan Lemuel. In for the touchdown. Theoretically, that's what the quarterbacks are supposed to do, throw the ball, but he can throw, run, catch. 21-12 Permian. Next drive for Lee, Mikey Serrano. He's going to punch it in from 1 yard out, but again, the Rebels missed that extra point, so it was 21-18 Midland Lee at the half. And we'll go to the second. Easton Hernandez busting it open. He ran for a touchdown. He threw for a touchdown. He caught a touchdown. And as we take a look at this score, Permian getting a win over Midland Lee, and they end the perfect season for the Rebels. Wow.
My goodness.
How about it? We'll go out to Jake Eichstedt at Ratliff Stadium, catching up with the Victorious head coach, Jeff Elson.
The Final Score Sports Desk, brought to you by Stanley Ford.
Ben, Aaron, welcome to Ratliff Stadium, you guys. This was a wild game here tonight. You guys, a 42-39 win for Permian. It was back and forth all night. I wish I had Coach Ellison here with me. He's talking to the team still. He's been in there for a little bit. I can imagine he's very emotional. I saw a lot of Permian players showing a lot of emotion as well. As soon as that Hail Mary hit the dirt tonight, Again, guys, it was back and forth, and they did such a good job of bottling up Loic Fungi tonight. He had a touchdown late, but other than that, did not much at all. The only real difference in this game was the one turnover made by Carl Taylor on a punt return, setting up Permian inside the 10-yard line. They would score on that drive as well. You guys, the defense for Permian is the storyline tonight, bottling up Loic Fungi, not giving up much to Mikey Serrano, the other receivers. The run game was not that strong tonight as well. Permian, I cannot emphasize how big Easton Hernandez was for them as well. He ran the ball well. He threw the ball well. He even had a receiving touchdown, you guys. You can tell how much it meant to this senior who was questionable entering tonight to take down this rival. Ben, Aaron, hopefully I get Coach when he comes out of the tunnel. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, Jake, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Big win for Mojo there, and now we'll continue with the other game from that district, Midland High, Odessa High. Aaron, one of these teams was going to get that first district win tonight. We'll see who did it. Odessa High, Midland High. Somebody's got to come out on top in this one. First quarter, Diego Cervantes going to bust this down the sideline. You know, Odessa High, they had Drake Cobb filling in a quarterback because they were a little short-handed there. But Cervantes looking good in his return. But 4th and goal, they got backed up because of a holding call. So 4th and goal, they have to go for it. And Carlos Urias stuffing that attempt right there. Turnover on downs. Midland High taking over. And Daniel Garcia taking over on the ground. He's going to find his way into Odessa High territory, further into Odessa High territory, I should say. And then first play of the second quarter, Nick Peralta going to his guy, Josh Lehrer for the touchdown. 7-0 Bulldogs on the board. And the final score in this one, 23-13 Midland High, the win over Odessa High. So we'll take a look at how those standings shook out for District 2 6A there. Yeah, Permian.
Yeah, as you can see, Mojo taking the lead here in the last week of district play with that win over the Rebels. Midland Lee undefeated going into tonight's game, but now they're in second place. Those top 4 teams are going to make the playoffs: Permian, Midland Lee, Tascosa, and Friendship. There you have it, folks. Midland High and Odessa High falling short.
Well, there we go. That is going to do it for the first series on the final score. But coming up next, 4A chaos. 7 teams in the district: Fort Stockton, Pecos, Monahans, each with a shot at the postseason. We'll tell you which ones got in next.
You're watching The Final Score, brought to you by these sponsors.
Welcome back to The Final Score. A lot of different possible outcomes tonight, especially in the 4A classification.
Yeah, and 5 teams competing for 3 playoff spots, and some scoreboard watching definitely in order for those teams involved. And in case you didn't know, we're going to take a look at the different scenarios for our local teams that were in a little bit of jeopardy going into this one. And you see here, Pecos, they had the easiest path. They just win and they're in. Monahans could bail them out as well. Monahans needed Pecos to win and then to win themselves. Fort Stockton, they needed a win over Lamesa. Lamesa, no wins on the year, but they needed either Snyder to beat Pecos or Pecos and Monahans to get a win in order to advance.
Always gives me a headache, honestly. Well, we're going to take a look at how this district went down tonight. Lamesa still looking for that first win, like you mentioned, visiting Fort Stockton tonight, who definitely needed a win. So we're going to take it out to Panther Stadium. Scoreless game midway through the first quarter here. Panthers on the ball, and Eric Bisler going to Derek Hernandez there in the first quarter, bobbles it but hangs on for the touchdown. 7-0 Panthers. We're gonna skip ahead to the second quarter now. Lamesa down 14-0. Ryan Aguilar slings it over to Dominic. Actually, it's intercepted by Dominic Aguilar, who's gonna take it back for a pick 6. So Fort Stockton looking nice early on. Later on in the game, Panthers leading on 21-0.
This is the Lamesa Aguilar. Yes, I'm sorry, there's 2 Aguilars in there.
Going to air it out again, this time to Zaven Kelly there for the touchdown. And folks, taking a look at this final score. Panthers go on to win this one 56-8.
Yes.
So Fort Stockton does what it needs to do.
Yes, so keep in mind, so Fort Stockton, they need either Snyder to win or Monahans and Pecos to win. Now we'll go see what Pecos did. Taking on Snyder at Tiger Stadium, and Wouldn't you know it, the Eagles punched their ticket. Just, get rid of all the drama that you don't need, Aaron. It's not good for you. 49-24, so Pecos is in. So now Monahans, they're in with a win, and also Fort Stockton would be in with the Monahans win, but it has to happen for both Fort Stockton and Monahans.
So let's take it out to Monahans now, see what those Lobos did. We're going to enter the action in the second quarter. Sweetwater up actually 20-12 here in the second. Start here of the second quarter. Bond Heflin airing it out down the middle to Jaheim Amos, who's going to run this one in for a Lobos touchdown. Score was 20-18, very close after a mixed extra point for the Lobos. Mustangs would try to respond on the following drive. Sweetwater with the ball here. And we have another long touchdown pass, this time to Darian Carr in the end zone. Sweetwater extends their lead 26-18 there in the second quarter. So Monahans with the ball once again. This was a back-and-forth game, folks. This time, Heflin with the ball. He's going to drop back and sling it to Peyton Adams, who coasts right in for a Monahans touchdown. All tied up at 26 with 7 minutes left in the half.
My goodness.
So taking a look at this final score, Sweetwater able to pull ahead there in the second half to get a win, 66-40. So all sorts of crazy games in this district. Monahans eliminated from the postseason with that loss.
Oh, my goodness. Sheer madness. And you see there with that, Fort Stockton, they had 3 wins, and that was the one scenario in which Fort Stockton would be left out. And yes, the three-way tie again. Fort Stockton, they should be 3-3 right there, but Snyder and Sweetwater get the nod. And Pecos, they do make it through, but Fort Stockton and Lamesa done for the season. All right, meanwhile, Seminole and Andrews, this was the district title game. Mustangs coming in with an 8-game winning streak. Indians traveling to take on the Mustangs in the first quarter at the Mustang Bowl. Seminole striking first. It's Jay Bagwell, no relation to Jeff, hands it off to Jason Mejia, 7-0. Indians on the board first. Road team coming in hot. Same quarter, Andrews quarterback Brett Leach. He sets up a screen for Esau Flores, and he's going down the right side, escorting his way into the end zone. 7-6, though, after the missed PAT. Andrews down in that second quarter. Leach, though, going to one of his favorite targets, Aaron.
Yep.
Guess who? Marquise Lawrence. Oh, my goodness. Marquise Lawrence and Brett Leach, or Loic Fungi and Mikey Serrano. Take your pick. 14-14, it would get tied up after a 2-point conversion. And then Jacob Lawson and Brett Leach would connect to give Andrews the lead. Taking a look at the score, Andrews gets the win 35-20. They win that district title.
Just 4 teams in that district, so here are the other 2. Big Spring gets a much-needed win over San Angelo Lakeview. As you can see, a very close win, 42-41, your final over in Big Spring.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go. Another team and a couple teams in the 4A district. Kermit and Brownfield both came in with 1-1 records. Brownfield going to take that 2 seed. Kermit's going to be the 3 seed from that district. They fall 22-6 to the Cubs.
So many games tonight coming down to this final regular season game. We had another district championship matchup. Alpine visiting Crane. Both teams 2-0 going into this finale. We were scoreless in the first quarter. Golden Cranes with the ball early on. Another elite quarterback we've heard throughout the basin, Jackson Willis for the Golden Cranes. Throws it down the middle to Donnie Bishop, who jumps, Nate Settle, who jumps down and comes up with it. Next play, Donnie Bishop taking the handoff this time. Makes a nice gain for the Golden Cranes before he's pushed out of bounds. We're going to continue on this drive again, and we're going to go through the air once again. Willis this time finding the same player, Bishop, who manages to hang on with that one. Golden Cranes finally get in scoring position on this drive. Brandon Cerna, none other, taking the handoff and runs this one into the end zone. Golden Cranes get on the board first. Fighting Bucks scored not long after in the second. And as you can see, looking at this score here, Alpine went on to win this one in overtime. A low-scoring game, which is not usual for either of these teams, honestly. 22-16, our final over in Crane. So Alpine's the district champion.
Oh, my goodness. Again, though, both teams going to make the playoffs, but my goodness there. Okay, Reagan County and Anthony. Now, both these teams are going to make the playoffs. This is for the 3 seed from that district. At last check of the fourth quarter, it looks like 14-6. Anthony on top. Reagan County trying to end a 10-game losing streak at home. Now, all 4 of those teams, again, are going to move on to the playoffs as part of those 14 districts, but the other 3A Division II district, there's a little competition in that one.
Yeah, no, nothing is ever certain with high school football, as we've already seen tonight. But it's always nice to take care of business early on.
Yeah, and exactly what Kahoma did last week against Colorado City. Nice win for the Bulldogs. Got a little help from our younger than usual athlete of the week, I would say, just a sophomore.
Yeah, Bryson Kirby helping lead the way in that significant win last week. The running back scored 4 touchdowns, and he also had 13 carries for 179 yards. But most importantly, like Ben mentioned, Bulldogs clinching their spot in the playoffs with that win.
You know, it's funny, too, that we had him as our athlete of the week because, as we see in these highlights, as they were on the road taking on Lubbock Roosevelt, both these teams going to make the playoffs, by the way. Usually when we have these Bulldog highlights, you see this guy, Zach Schneider, rumbling in for the touchdowns. And that's what he does right there on the QB keeper. Bulldogs feeling pretty good later on. The Eagles not going down without a fight. Seth Smyerson is going to make this reception down the field for the nice touchdown. Nice play there, splitting the coverage. Roosevelt would then go on to get a field goal, but not enough. Bulldogs get the win 54-27. Kahoma finishes the regular season 8-2 and 4-1 in that district.
A couple of other teams in that same district, both looking to snap some losing streaks here and their first win in district play. Both teams already also eliminated from the postseason, but Stanton's going to finish their season with a win, a 38-20 final over Colorado City.
Yeah, bookend wins for the Buffaloes, week 1 and week 11. All right, Stanford against Forsan. This was crazy because Forsan could have made the playoffs if they won by 5 points or more, but as you see, they come up just short. They were down a couple quarterbacks in this game, Forsan, but 21-20, the Bulldogs get that win.
And another exciting matchup here in 2A, Wink winning their district title outright with tonight's win over McCamey, a 42-14 final over there in McCamey. So Wink
nicely done.
runs away with it, 3-0.
And I believe their 6th straight win. Ira Ann, meanwhile, they finished the regular season blanked at Van Horn, 0-10, but it is
everyone's going to make it.
A 14 district, so the Braves, they're not done just yet.
And we're going to put a pause on 11-man football and move down to 6-man.
Yes.
That's always exciting, too. Year after year, several Basin teams always in contention for the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, and playoffs, the state championship teams as well, the Wild West that is 6-man football out here in the Basin. Keep in mind, for these districts, though, only 2 teams make the playoffs, so not only really have to make your way into the postseason, but make your way through it as well, because you got some bloodbaths to start off. And case in point, Rankin, Balmorhea, the #1 team in the state, Rankin number 6, to give them credit, but their undefeated season, the Bears, over against the Red Devils, 68-44, so the Red Devils win that district title.
And here's a look at the other game in that district. Marfa on the road in Fort Davis. Indians are going to get their first district win of the season, with making the record 1-2 with that 50-0 Mercy Rule win over the Shorthorns.
Yes, and a good season for both of them. Now, another upset, Sterling City. They were the #5 team in the state, but Garden City, 7-2, 3-0. They get a 64-46 win over the Eagles, and so now Garden City and Balmorhea, a rematch in the first round of the playoffs. Sterling City will be taking on Rankin as the runner-up from that district. 2
more teams in action on Thursday. Coyotes extend their district record to 4-0 with this win over Grady, a 58-0 Mercy Rule win over the Wildcats. So the Coyotes win the district outright.
And the Coyotes,
12th straight.
Oh, I was going to say,
12th straight.
We can't glance over that. Oh, my goodness. Now, this one, Klondike-O'Donnell, a de facto playoff game. It was going to decide the second and final playoff spot from that district. You see there, Klondike eliminated from the postseason. O'Donnell advances.
And Sierra Blanca visiting. Just kidding. We're going to move up to some TAPS football now. Midland Christian gets a comeback victory over Fort Worth All Saints to cap off their district campaign. That makes them the 2nd seed in districts.
3-1 in district.
34-27, your final over All Saints.
So there you go. Still rolling here on the final score, but coming up next, we got the best highlight of the night. It's our play of the week. It's coming up next.
And we'll also amp up some excitement. Ben's favorite portion of the show. Get ready for some percussion, winds, and brass. Our Band of the Week performance is coming up.
You're watching The Final Score, brought to you by these sponsors.
Well, Aaron, competition heating up on the field, as we've seen. But, you know, players, coaches, they're not only the only people out there, but they're not the only competitors either. Our bands, they do a lot of work.
They do, without a doubt. The UIL Marching Band State Contest this week was over in San Antonio. And to keep up that spirit, we're going to turn it over to our Final Score Band of the Week out in Fort Stockton. Well, shout out to the Fort Stockton Pride.
The pride of Pantherland for Fort Stockton, our Band of the Week. Congratulations to them. And actually, speaking of that district, we mentioned the game earlier. We did want to show you these highlights. Pecos, Snyder. Again, Pecos, it turned out they were going to need a win to get into the playoffs. And we'll take a look at how it went. First quarter, Snyder's Leroy Tavares to Derek Dominguez. Runs it to the 10-yard line before taking it in for the touchdown. Back and forth game. Into the second quarter we go. Snyder now down 7, but Leroy Tavares this time going to Greg Williams. He's going to go 40 yards to tie the game. Later on in the second, though, Ezekiel Saldana breaking through the defense. You know, if there's anything you got to be worried about with that Eagles offense, counter to what you might imagine with an Eagle, it's that ground game. They run the ball phenomenally. Snyder, they would answer with another deep throw from Tavares to Dominguez. My goodness, that is quite a pair right there. That ties the game at the end of the second with just over 10 seconds left, though. Pecos getting a little gutsy, going with Abel Velasquez, and he punches it in 27-21. So Pecos up 20 at the end of the half. Really interesting decision. Not sure if they had any timeouts there. Might have been a little gutsy, but either way, Eagles, as you saw, they get the win 49-24, and it turns out that's one that they needed to get into the playoffs. And now we'll continue with the action on the field, and we're going to look at another play from that district, a team that had a tough go tonight, given they did everything they needed to do, just everything out of their control. Did not fall their way at Fort Stockton.
Yeah. It's time for our Final Score Play of the Week.
And here it was, Fort Stockton. They needed a win over Lamesa. And look at this play. Oh, my goodness. The little juggling grab for the touchdown. This was, by the way, got to give a shout out for the net. You know, we want their follower counts to go up here. Eric Baslar going to Derek Hernandez, and he was the one who hauled it in for the touchdown. And Dominic Aguilar pick 6 later on. But that juggling catch, our Final Score Play of the Week.
Shout out to the Panthers for a great season.
Absolutely. Really tough break for them. Our last commercial break coming up. And when we come back, we bring you our final thoughts, including an upset over at Ratliff Stadium, Permian, defeating Midland Lee.
You're watching The Final Score, brought to you by these sponsors.
And welcome back to The Final Score. Anthony and Reagan County, we told you about this game. We did want to let you know we kept an eye on it, but still, last we could see Anthony with a 14-6 lead there in the fourth quarter. It is the final score, so of course we do try to get those finals for you. But yeah, just like that, it's all over.
Yeah, regular season, Nice knowing you. We are in playoff mode from here on out, though.
Yeah, and congratulations again to all those teams that did make it through, especially the one, you think of Fort Stockton, did everything they had to do. Literally, there was 4 scenarios where they don't make the playoffs. That was the one in which they don't. So a tough break for them. There were some teams, though, of course, a lot of teams that are going to be moving on, including our game of the week.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Permian securing that district share with that upset. We're going to send it out to our Game of the Week reporter, Jake Eichstadt, to hear his final thoughts from that exciting game.
The Final Score Sports Desk, brought to you by Stanley Ford.
Ben, Aaron, welcome back to Ratliff Stadium. Obviously, you can see the lights have been turned off on me tonight. They must have thought I was rooting for Midland Lee. Of course, I was unbiased. I did my journalistic responsibilities. I was totally partisan the whole way through. You guys, this was a great game tonight. So instead of the lights being turned off on me, I'm going to give you guys my 3 brightest lights of the game. First one, I got to go to Eastern Hernandez. You guys, he had such a great game commanding the offense for the Permian Mojo, running the ball, throwing the ball, and of course, like I told you guys, he had that Philly special-esque play. You guys, you can tell he really is the heartbeat of this team. Of course, for a guy who was questionable going in tonight, nobody knew if he was going to play. I barely even saw him taking warm-up snaps. The second star that I will give you guys is the special teams for Permian. You guys, we saw Lee only lost by 3 tonight, and they were down by 3 at halftime, and that was because of 2 missed extra points and a missed 2-point conversion. You guys, special teams, such a huge part of this game. And of course, like I said, the game ended in a 3-point victory for Permian. If they make those extra points and they could, they don't even have to go for 2 there, they make that other extra point. This is a tie game. It would be going to overtime. And my third star, you guys, is the defense for Permian. They had a stellar night defending Loic Fungi, Mikey Serrano, and this high-powered Midland Lee offense that we've seen drop 70 points in their sleep against some other really good teams, you guys. They kind of came back at the end where Loic did score his 1 touchdown of the game, but other than that, he had a very quiet night, you guys. I can't say enough about this Permian team tonight, you guys. They started off the season 1-3. Everybody wrote them off, and they finished tonight with their district title. Both teams going to the playoffs. How great would it be if they met up again this year? Ben, Aaron, see you in the studio.
Hey, you got to throw out the record books in these rivalry games?
I know, that would be quite the scenario. But Aaron, I feel like this is the episode where we have the most final thoughts of any week of the season. But of everything we saw tonight,
most weeks I'm like, I don't have any final thoughts. I don't have anything to add. Yeah. But I do today. I was really surprised by Alpine's overtime win over Crane. I think I was most surprised, honestly, by the score for 2 teams that tend to like to run up the score on most of the teams they play, especially Crane. 22-16, I think, was the final in this one. And it was slow from the very beginning, so I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, you see here, like, for those highlights, we saw, sorry, I don't want to step on your toes, but we saw...
Stealing my final thoughts.
I know, I apologize. But we saw Crane, they really had to work the ball down the field there, and yeah.
Yep, so district title went to Alpine. Of course, Crane's still going to make the playoffs, but nonetheless, a surprising last regular season game.
I think so.
Ben, what did you think about
really quick? We unfortunately didn't have highlights of this, but Rankin with a huge win over Balmoral, and by the way, Garden City with a win over Sterling City. That, folks, this region for 6-man, you got Rankin, Sterling City, Garden City, Balmoral, Borden County. Who are you taking? I have no idea.
Yeah, some 6-man upsets this week, that's for sure.
They've all beat each other, too. It is going to be, as you see there, 6-man madness as we get ready to start the postseason. Well, that is it for the regular season. We do have 1 more episode next week for the first round of the playoffs. We will see you next Friday night. For Aaron Reynolds, I'm Ben Peck. Hope you had a great evening.